right here, the license plate readers do not expand beyond us being an investigative tool. They are simply to collect the license plate data. It is utilized in any type of criminal investigation. It has obviously data tracked. It is, audited. It's not to be misused. Now, let's be honest. Any system that the police departments, any police officer has access to can be misused. There's no doubt about it. The LINK system, which is the Law Enforcement Network of Kentucky, NCIC, National Crime Information Center, they have all been abused and misused. And those officers that have done so have been fired, terminated, charged, and brought up on whatever repercussions that they have. That's why those systems are in play. That's just as any kind of place that has policies in place, there are ramifications for misuse of those systems. So that would obviously be in play as well. So again, this is just a way for the police department. I'll use this past weekend. We had a couple stolen cars, and we had about 8 different vehicles gone through and things stolen from the cars. Well, with something that can track just simply the license plates, an officer can go in and go, okay, between the hours of midnight and between the hours of 6 a.m., in this area, what cars went through there? And they can be able to look at license plates. That gives us a lead. So we go on that lead. We can run the license plate. The officer will then run the license plate through the dispatch system and follow up. Get a registered owner. Go find out, hey, was this your car? It's just an investigative tool.
Well, I would like to see your presentation, but I'd like to see the pro and the con people. I'd like to have a group of people, or if someone come in here and address the negative part of it. You've got the positive. I would like to see someone that...
I'm not going to bring a con person in here because I'm not con on it, but if
we find somebody that would be able to...
You're more than welcome to find somebody that's con on it, ma'am, to be quite honest with you. I don't know of a lot of people. I'm in the law enforcement community, and I've heard nothing but positive on it.
I'd just like to see two sides of the issue.
Okay.
I will say this, Chief Hall has done a good job of sitting back and watching other police agencies in the middle of Kentucky implement these cameras in Campbell, Kenton, and Boone County. Over in Ohio, with the townships, they have had it in place for several years. And like he said, it's nothing more than a huge benefit for the safety of our community. It's exactly what it would be. He gave the example of something happened between midnight and 5 a.m. where cars get broken into. A good chance with the less traffic during those hours, there's a good chance the detective's going to get on there and pick up on who the suspect's vehicle is very quickly.
And that's just one example, obviously. Used in hit and run collisions, missing persons reports, Amber Alerts, things like that. Those are all, and the system is now integrated with the dispatch with the King County Public Service Communications Center. So
I'd just like to see the other side of it, and that's one that would have another view. Maybe I'll be able to find someone like that if we could use them to present.
okay.
Does that work with you, Mr. Daly?
If you can find something, I haven't heard of anybody out there, but I'm sure that if you look around,
They're there.
You have a very large network of people, so maybe you want to tap into that and see if there's something out there.
Is it fair to say that this is comparatively a more regulated system than the surveillance equipment that may be sitting in any number of businesses or homes that
It
catch
absolutely is.
people with cars going by?
100%. Because again, like I said, it's tracked, it's logged. In order for that information to be accessed, a police officer has to have access to the system and has to have a case number, has to go in and extrapolate that information. So it's not just willy-nilly and can be passed out free as will. Again, I will stress this. The license plate that's on the back of your vehicle, there is no reasonable expectation of privacy on the public roadway. There is no difference than the camera catching the picture of your license plate than an officer sitting there and running that license plate. It's doing it 24/7 instead of an officer being there 24/7 when the officer's able to be out somewhere else doing something.
Are there any cities nearby that are using them?
If you drive down Buttermilk Pike, right across on the other side of 75, you will see one right by Shorty's. Fort Mitchell has 5. They've been granted 5. So I know 2 of those are up and running, but there is one, if you want to see an example, out by the Department of Transportation. So
I think Fort Wright is not using the cameras that.
No, I don't think Fort Wright.
I've spoken with the mayor.
Lakeside Park, Crestview Hills has several, Independence has several, Covington has several. Obviously, we're looking at it, Fort Mitchell's added into it. It's Edgewood's looking at them as well, so it's just expanding that. So on top of, there's, Boone County, Florence Police Department has several of them. Campbell County, they're smattering all the way throughout as well. And then across the nation, even more so. And if we tap into the flock system, if we're able to, we have access to all the flocks in the nation to be able to track a vehicle. And I use a missing person. We can generally see as they pass through an LPR where that person is, and then get an officer in that area to try to locate that vehicle and be able to save somebody and find a missing person or a criminal, or whatever be the case.
Yeah, every day is now you can try criminal investigation or Amber Alert, stolen notice. I mean, that's just, that,
Absolutely. So,
How long has this system been around?
they've been around for probably close to 10 years, to be quite honest with you. Now, LPRs, license plate readers, have been around every bit of 15 to close to 20 years. So, like, it may be even more so, to be honest with you.
Well, I just call it optical character range. But, no, I meant the building itself, so how long is that?
Flock has been around for, I think, 10 years, if I'm not mistaken.
How many gauges or, lost?
I would not have that answer, but none that I know of.
Will you push it along or?
You can certainly ask them, if they'll be here, and you can ask them, because they'll be able to answer that.
Someone gives them.
So. But again, I will mention this, data breach. It's a fair question, I completely understand it. What data are you gonna come out of that? License plate numbers, and you can't do anything with them. No, I understand, Mr. Murder, I appreciate it, I will get that information for you.
But they're tapped into lots of other places too.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Daly? Mr. Daly, yes, sir. Ireland, what was the potential plan for that property? It's back in 2000, or, gosh, now I'm having, and I didn't put those notes in front of me, but I believe in 2007 is when it went through the process here and with PDS and the planning commission, and I believe it's allocated for 20 type of, not homes, but townhomes.
Similar to what he built on West Reserve. Similar, not same company, that's next to Pee Wee's. So, single family attached, I think.
There's a
Multiple story.
There's a project they did down in Park Hills by the church there. And I did go down there and I took some pictures. I'll send them out to everybody so they can see them. It's an actual project they did work on, and they have referred to that project several times. I know a couple people came in and dropped it off. We've been approached before, yeah. I've been approached at least 3 different times in my time here, so 2 others prior to this. That's the way.
Do you know if they're owner occupied or rental?
Yet to be decided.
Yes, thank you.
That's already zoned residential.
Yes.
It's zoned for this project, yes. And the comprehensive plan also kind of dictates this area being for this kind of project, if that makes sense.
Anything else, Mr. Dale? On the old business, last month, we tabled ordinance 2025-2. New wording has been proposed. The question is there a motion to bring it off the table and discuss it?
I'll make a motion to move it off the table to discuss 25-2 ordinance.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Roll call on that, please.
Bob Miller,
Yes.
Mark Bartenberg, Jeff Smith,
No.
Carol McGowan,
Yes.
Janine Bell Smith,
No,
Don Kylan,
No.
3-3, correct? 3-3. We'll take it off the table, assuming I'll let right that high, correct, sir? Okay, so it's off the table. We can discuss that now. New wording was proposed to change that to something that might be more amenable to people. So any discussion on that?
What was specific language that was changed?
Mr. Baker?
I think my suggestion would be let's read the revised
Okay.
proposed ordinance. It would be, because it's a change in the word, major change in the word, it's considered a first reading. So it can't be voted on that. That can be stopped.
So discussion.
This is ordinance 2025-2, an ordinance of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that amends section 72.06 of the code of ordinances for the city of Crescent Springs relating to enforcement regarding abandoned vehicles. Whereas the Crescent Springs Code of Ordinances, section 72.06, subsection B, has provided that any member of the police department of the city is authorized to remove or have removed any vehicle that is deemed abandoned. And whereas said ordinance was amended by ordinance 2001-9 to limit the enforcement of this ordinance to any member of the police department, and whereas an amendment is necessary to allow personnel delegated by the mayor to have the same power and duty with regard to abandoned vehicles. Now therefore be obtained by the mayor and city council of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that section 72.06 subsection B of the code of ordinances regarding to abandoned vehicles is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 1, 72.06 abandoned vehicles, capital subsection B. Any member of the police department authorized to operate in the city or any personnel is delegated by the mayor is authorized to remove or have removed any vehicle left in any place within the city which reasonably appears to be in violation of this section. The vehicle shall be impounded until lawfully claimed or disposed of. Any vehicle abandoned on a street or highway shall be removed and disposed of in conformity with appropriate city ordinances or KRS 189.751. Section 2, all ordinances or parts of ordinances that conflict herewith or to the extent of such conflict hereby repealed, this ordinance shall be effective from its passage and publication according to law.
So the difference is that it's not specific to our code enforcement officer. I can appoint someone on staff, so we took out the specific job title that was there and made it a bit longer.
But it can still be there.
It can still be, yes, or it can be Mr. Dale.
The total number of, if I seen that right, was 8 over the last year, am I correct?
The total was, yes.
And that was proposed, is correct?
Yes. Correct.
Would this person respond to the abandoned vehicle parking complaint and towing situations? Am I saying that right? In other words, would this person be responsible for all of those activities?
I believe so. Chief, is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Yes.
As far as just an abandoned vehicle overtime parking.
Yeah, I'm picturing this person would be sent for an abandoned vehicle overdone parking, a parking complaint, and if the situation warranted it, they would be towed.
My understanding, and you can correct me if wrong as far as the information is, I thought it dealt with only abandoned vehicles and overtime parking.
Okay, all
That
right.
was my understanding, is the power was only, the authority was given for abandoned vehicles and overtime parking, not the parking plate, fire lane violation or anything like that.
Okay.
That would still be on the police department as well. Just abandoned vehicles and overtime parking. That was my understanding.
Okay, thanks. That helps.
So, may I continue? If someone put in a call, there is an abandoned car, say I called in, what would you do with that, Mr.?
So you call the dispatch, and the dispatch would contact, I would assume the police department and the city, and then they would go out and take appropriate action depending on the situation they find. It might not be an abandoned car,
That's true.
and they do nothing. If it is an abandoned car or appears to be an abandoned car, they give them the proper notice and then follow up with it.
So then you would select someone to come and take the car? Would that be your choice? Who would you choose? I mean, just anybody?
It goes to what the KRS says as to who can do it and how they can do it. Chief, you got any information on
Police.
that?
Are you asking about who would tow the vehicle?
Who would have the vehicle to?
Well, who would have the authority to basically?
It would be incumbent upon the city to tow. At that point, if the code enforcement officer has the ability and has the authority to tow the vehicle, then the city is towing the vehicle at that point. So if the liability comes back on the city as far as the towing of the
So
vehicle.
it's our responsibility.
Correct.
But that didn't necessarily wouldn't be the code enforcer, that would be someone else.
It
Just
it
be any
could be
person.
it could be somebody that I delegate.
Who would you delegate? I mean,
That's not germane to the conversation.
I understand, but it is germane to me.
Well, I don't know. Right now, there's no one to delegate to because it's not in our code of ordinance, so, I can delegate to anybody on staff.
So they would call and have the police tow the car?
No, they would be authorized to have the vehicle removed.
Like, for instance, can I use your name, April? She would call let's say airport towing, and they would tow the car.
She would have, if it was her, she would have to go out and follow the
Make
proper.
sure, yes.
She would have to follow the proper procedures on putting notice on the vehicle, trying to find the owner and do all that to try to find out who's the vehicle. It's not that we would get a call and tow the vehicle. There's a process that it has to go through.
My understanding, we had an issue like that many years ago. It was somebody was on vacation, we didn't know who they were, but they were part of the neighbors. And the guy came by over 3 days and put like a yellow and orange tag. And then how long?
The ordinance
What's that
states says
tag
3
on
days.
there?
The ordinance states 3 days. That's what the ordinance says. So they would still have to follow and abide by the ordinance. They would still have to abide by the ordinance, the code enforcement officer or whoever the mayor delegates. They would still have to mark the ground, not the vehicle, it's a Michigan case. And then 3 days from that point, then that vehicle could be removed by that code enforcement officer or the designee of the mayor.
We would also follow the Village Police Department's tow list that they schedule at the beginning of every year. And they have that in place.
Yep, our towing contracts.
Different towing companies for each month or every 3
We
months.
have a rotation, that dispatch maintains our rotation.
We would not go outside that.
I think it would be a good idea, only because this month's overtime rate was very high. And if there was a car somewhere, you could alleviate the issue from the police department having to take care of it. Potentially cut down on OT.
Well, if there's no action needed tonight, we'll do another reading at the next council meeting. Reread them.
Okay. All right.
Just say something, I don't want to beat the dead horse here. And they have proceeded my time. What were we attempting to remedy with the ordinance about who it names? Was it to alleviate dispatches from the police department?
To alleviate time.
Comply with state law? I mean,
To alleviate time that the police department is doing so. It's an option that we have at our disposal to be able to use.
okay.
You know, I've got no dog in the hunt. I really, it's a way to try to give the police department some time back.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all we're trying to do.
And I remember something about the state law, right?
Yes, it cleans up the ordinance because state law already permits us to do it. But when we started contracting out with police services in 2008, the ordinance was never updated to bring the city back into it with the ability to do so.
This ordinance was originally passed when we worked for the city.
That's scary.
As a police officer, a long time ago.
Yeah. We got our hands.
So it's really putting the ordinance in line with the state law.
Correct. Correct.
That already is.
Thank you.
Do we bill the car owner when we have these vehicles towed, or how we?
They have to pay the towing and the storage fees.
Okay. Is that a problem getting reimbursed for that, or how does that work?
We don't
pay.
Yeah, the towing company just does it, and then they keep the car, they don't do it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's all. I don't know what the 3 month vacation would be.
I guess what happens is somebody abandons the car, then they leave it
There is a process that the towing company can follow under state law to dispose of the vehicle. It requires at least one, I think, 2 notices. But I know at least one, and time has to elapse where they receive it. It's like someone who, for instance, plays soccer.
Yeah.
And never goes back.
Yeah.
There is a process to try to see the silly show. Every state's a little different, but there is a way to say that the owner can eventually sell the storage myself.
No action necessary, we'll deal with it again at the next meeting. Now, the majority of the people in our audience is here for, first reading of ordinance 2025-3, accepting the proposal for solid waste recycling. Council has sent 6 different options, based upon, company and length of proposal and how the company was going to be billed. I do need somebody from council to bring one of those to the table.
I motion. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes, I need somebody from council to bring it onto the table for us to then have a first reading of, and then any discussion tonight, and then to finally vote on at the next meeting.
Well, I motion to go with number 4, best way paid by the city, 4-year contract, residents charged on the tax bill.
Is there a second to that? I'll second.
Thank you.
There are people in the audience from both companies. If they've got something extra to say, when do they say that?
So really, unless I'm wrong, Mr. Baker, we've already had our comments from them, and we've had our comment period. I think that is kind of closed. Am I correct, Mr. Baker?
Okay.
Mr. Baker, if you would please.
This ordinance 2025-3. This is just
Just the first reading. It's what, just to say what version is being brought. Okay, we can do that. So a roll call vote on which ordinance is being, which version is being read so that we're all on the same page. Take a roll call, please.
Rob Miller,
Yes.
Mark Wertner,
Yes.
Jeff Smith,
Yes.
Carol McDonald,
Yes.
Email Smith.
Yes.
Don Farley.
Yes.
ordinance 2025-3. An ordinance of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, accepting a proposal from Best Way Disposal for solid waste collection services. Whereas the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky issued a request for proposal, RFP, for solid waste collection services, and whereas bids were received in a time specified in the RFP, and whereas a bid from Best Way Disposal, wherein as part of the agreement, the city agrees to pay Best Way Disposal directly, and therefore the city will assess each property owner a prorated portion of the contract for reimbursement of the costs paid to Best Way Disposal at the time property tax bills are issued. And whereas City Council has reviewed each of the bids received and finds that the bid made by Best Way Disposal, wherein the city agrees to pay Best Way Disposal directly, and therefore assess each property owner a prorated portion of the contract for reimbursement of the cost paid to Best Way Disposal, is the best bid. Now therefore be it ordained by the mayor and city council of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the bid offered by Best Way Disposal dated February 19, 2025, for the rate set forth in the proposal, wherein the city agrees to pay Best Way Disposal directly, and therefore assess each property owner a prorated portion of the contract for reimbursement of the cost paid to Best Way Disposal is hereby accepted and approved. The mayor is hereby authorized to execute on behalf of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, any agreement with Best Way Disposal incorporating said bid.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Again, no action on that tonight. Up at our next meeting,
Which is going to be May 12th.
May 12th. New business, municipal order 2025-8.
Municipal Order 2025-8, a municipal order of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, amending the appointment of non-elected city officers and members of city boards and authorities of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky. Now therefore be it ordered by the mayor and legislative body of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, municipal order 2025-4 is hereby amended to reflect that the delegate for the PDS Planning Council shall be Janine Bell Smith for 1 year, with her term ending December 31st, 2025, and Bob Mueller shall be deemed the alternate to the PDS Planning Council for a 1-year term ending December 31st, 2025. Section 2, the appointments herein approved shall be for the year 2025 or for the term provided by statute or contract and shall continue until the successor of each appointee is thereafter appointed and or approved. Non-elected city officers shall continue unless removed is provided in KRS 83A.080 subsection 3. The foregoing officials or members shall have such duties, obligations, rights, and privileges is provided by ordinances and laws of the city of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and the United States of America, and is provided by contracts requiring city participation.
Thank you very much. I'll take a motion to approve.
Second.
Who's first? Carol? Thank you. Roll call, please. Sorry.
I would say.
No.
I'll make.
Okay, so Don's first.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Bob Yoder,
Yes.
Mark Wurtenberger,
Yes.
Jeff Smith,
Yes.
Carol McGowan,
Yes.
Judy Bell Smith,
Yes.
Don Riley,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Municipal order 2025-3, please.
Resolution 2025-3, City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, a resolution adopting and approving the execution of a municipal aid co-op program contract between the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Department of Rural and Municipal Aid for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, as provided in the Kentucky Revised Statutes and accepting all streets referred to therein as being streets which are part of the incorporated city. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky, that the City Council of the City of Crescent Springs does hereby accept all streets referred to in said contract as being city streets which are part of the incorporated city. And the City Council of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said contract, and does hereby accept said contract, and by such acceptance agrees to all the terms and conditions therein stated. And the mayor of the City of Crescent Springs, Kentucky is hereby authorized and directed to sign said contract as set forth on behalf of the City Council of the City of Crescent Springs, and the city clerk of this Crescent Springs, Kentucky is hereby authorized and directed to certify thereto. Note taken on said resolution, or which of you will need to issue voice vote signs as I or nay. And this is something we do every year.
Yeah, Mr. Daly spoke about this in his remarks, municipal road aid. Looks like we're getting about $58,000, and we get the opportunity to use the emergency fund, which we've used several times since I've been there. So I'll take a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2025.
Who's the second?
I would.
Carol. Any discussion?
I have a question. Are these designated streets or just any streets at this time?
This is the city, any street in the city of Crescent.
Okay, so it's a collective all, or, oh, that was my question. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Bob Miller,
Yes.
Mark Wurtenberger,
Yes.
Jeff Smith,
Yes.
Carol McGowan,
Yes.
Judy Bell Smith,
Yes.
Don Riley,
Yes.
Sign those.
It's required by the state, not by the
Mr. Mayor, under new business, I don't know if we can talk about this under old business or new business, but Woodville towards the island there. That's something we can discuss now.
Who's this right now? Yep.
Went over this several times, I believe we briefly talked about it at the Public Works Committee meetings. I know I think the city wants to take that whole island down. And that's the cost of the city, I believe, paying for this.
So the developer is going to take out approximately 2/3 of that island at their expense.
Okay.
And then leaving a very small island.
Oh,
There. It's about approximately. I don't have the exact footage, but it's about 2/3.
do you have any expense on that as far as now the city can incur that cost or?
The city's not paying that. So right now, our plan is to leave the remaining part of that island there.
Okay.
Because we got a price, Mr. Gale, I don't remember what it was. It was very expensive to remove it. So we decided to leave it there.
Perfect, great. Yeah, that would have been my recommendation, to let them take what they need and then let them round off the corner.
Right.
I would assume they will round off the corner.
Correct.
And leave it be.
Correct.
And then what about the landscaping in there? Will they redistribute that throughout the city or what's the plan? I believe it would be like taking 2/3 of the 2 of those rather large trees out there.
We don't own that.
Oh, that's not the city owner?
That's Fisher.
That's all that's
That's
Fisher.
Fisher.
Thank you.
Any committee reports?
Yeah, I do. I went to I've already mentioned it, to the PDS meeting. It was very informative. There's another meeting for the budget on May the 12th, 2025. And also, when I was there, I was very impressed by the PDS board chair, which is Mayor Chris Reinersman. He's the mayor of the city of Independence. He's very forthright and has a lot of information that he gives to the council people. One of the things I would like to bring up, whenever we can put this on the website sometime, this issue here, it's been all over. It's the April 2025 newsletter. It's quite interesting if you read it and find out all the information that PDS has for us. It says, as you may appreciate, keeping track of projects, permits, and infrastructure updates across 20 jurisdictions can present a variety of logistic challenges. Consolidation of all this information in a single location might seem like a straightforward solution. The reality, it is often more complex. I think you probably know about that, Mike, Mr. Daly. Trying to find this, and if you looked at this program, the tracking program, it says at a recent PDS council meeting, Executive Director Shamali Reddy shared the beta version of a platform that the PDS term has been developing called the Kenton County Development Tracker. This platform will act as an additional tool to help local officials understanding development activities in the near real time. It says the trackers, including essential data points such as subdivision names, current numbers of lots built, total lots planned, percentages of planned lots built, total acreage and jurisdiction.
I think we can use that key website, instead of sitting and reading all through it.
Yeah, I've just got, that's fine. I have just one more paragraph, is that's, yeah, continue. And should you put this on the website, because I think it's something to, one thing that I really like what he did put down, it says the true benefit of this new tool lies in the ability to enhance transparency, collaboration among local officials and residents. And I like those two words, transparency and collaboration. So I want to thank Mr. Reinersman for his leadership role in PDS.
Anything else? Yes.
Have we discussed a citywide cleanup day yet? Or, like a trash collection day?
April, we talked to the city of Little Hills, we did a connection with them.
We're planning to do a shred day, but not a cleanup.
Okay.
We had a bunch of dumpsters at the last event,
Yeah.
and I guess everyone missed the first time. The Kent County cleanup was actually this past weekend.
So the shred is just gonna be paper, documents, that kind of stuff? Okay.
Maybe next year we can do every other year do a collection. The first year, and we didn't know what we were doing. I don't think we managed it well, and we had more stuff than we should have. And I thank everybody from all over. We'll leave it at that.
Paint, tires, leftovers.
Mr. Flaherty, any comments?
I do, I hate to disappoint you.
Well, you know, I sit here waiting with bated breath every month for your words of inquiry.
When I hear the meeting, I always come up with some questions. The first one here is, I guess I'll direct it to you or Mr. Daly, whichever one. I recall a few years ago, approximately 3 years ago, where PDS, I think you kind of initiated that or basically promoted having PDS do a study to evaluate the roads, and that was done, correct? How much did the city pay for that?
I don't know offhand, I have to get that from April, go back to our past records, and we can email that to you.
Okay, so I would assume that their study is no longer effective, it's not good anymore?
We still utilize it.
You do?
Matter of fact, we were looking at it just last week.
So it begs the question, why do you need a new company to do a study or evaluate the roads?
So it does, I'll take it. At least, so it's 3 or 4 years old, and there's, you know, it doesn't look at changes that have happened. We just went through one of the driest summers and one of the wettest winters. So what was the conditions of the road 3 or 4 years ago when PDS did that study? They may have deteriorated or lasted longer. So in the interest of being good stewards of city money, we don't want to go and repair incorrect roads. We want a fresh look at what our road situation is. The system that they have gives you, it looks at number of cars per day and kind of stuff, and what its estimate is for how long the road will be good, starting with where it is today.
Yeah, I understand that's probably a good idea, but would you say this company is better qualified than PDS? And then how much are they going to charge? Is there a quote?
So we've not met with them yet, and there are other options. They're not just one company. There are many
Okay.
options. We have our first meeting this week.
So you probably would have to bid it out if it reaches over $30,000, is that the amount? 40,000 now? Okay.
I would highly doubt that it's that high.
Okay. All right, okay, thank you. The other question I have is regarding the amendment to ordinance 2025-2. I heard Chief Hall say that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to quote you if I'm not correct, that as far as he's concerned, the policemen are doing their job, doing a good job. So Mr. Mueller raised a very good question, which is what really is the purpose of this amendment? And I think the answer was in order to reduce overtime. So we,
That's one response from someone, yes. As was explained, is to get our ordinances in line with the state. That wasn't done back in '08 when we switched to police services, or '07, I forget the exact year. And it will take away, I don't know that it will save overtime, but it will take away duties from the police to give them opportunities to do other patrol options, do other things that are needed if they're not dealing with these vehicles. Would that be correct, Chief?
That's correct, sir.
would you agree that 8 cars a year doesn't amount to a lot of overtime? Or do you have the numbers on what kind of
I'm
overtime?
not saying that it's overtime, sir. I'm not saying that it's overtime. I'm saying that it takes time away from the police department from having to do it, so they have time to do other police activities.
Well, I mean, that's logical, that,
Right.
you know,
It's
I
logical.
mean, that could be a very minimal amount of time.
It could reduce a minimal burden on you guys.
Yeah,
If anything.
yeah. It seems to me a little disingenuous to say that you're cleaning up the ordinance, the state ordinance, because it begs the question, if that ordinance is out of date, how many other ordinances need to be cleaned up? Do you have the answer to that?
There are some, and we're trying to look into those.
So you have a list of them?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, and the last question is, and I don't have my information, I could go back through the meetings, but I think there was a woman who came to a meeting and suggested that we have a city cleanup where, and you were in favor of that idea, Mayor, that people would go around and clean up papers and bottles and whatever. In the area where we live in, you and I, if you go along Meadowwood Drive, there's that hollow, that space that I think is still owned by Wessels, that collects bottles and papers and all kinds of trash. So I think that would be a good idea to contact that lady and have her organize it.
I asked her to contact me that evening. I heard nothing since.
Okay,
So
right, I
I
understand.
know you're welcome to help come up here and organize it too.
I would certainly help. I'm not going to be the leader and organize it, but I would certainly participate and help out.
And I know Director Miller's team works on cleaning up the trash as around the city as well. I will take a look at that everything.
Okay, all right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
May I address a concern that I have?
Sure.
What I'd like to do, and I've talked to Mr. Daly about it. Could we have Rob Himes, he's the Director of Code Enforcement for PDS. I've talked with him because I've been down to PDS and finding a lot of nice, great people there do a super job. I would like to have Rob Himes come in and address the council as a whole about the services that he can give from PDS for code enforcement. I have done a lot of research and with how many cities are using them, quite a few, and I would like to see him speak to our council to tell you the benefits and the cost effectiveness of using PDS to do our code enforcement.
I'll see if I can do schedule some caucus.
I wish you would, that'd be great, because I think, Mr. Daly, you've been aware, I've sent you an email about that.
Yes, ma'am.
And you think a lot of Rob, he's a superman, he's good job.
Yes.
In fact, everybody down at PDS, it's just great to get to meet new people and to get to know others better, yes.
It's an amazing group down there.
Yes, they're super, and Charmaline Reddy is a gift.
awesome.
Super, yes.
Anything else?
Would you like that for the May caucus?
We're already got, I think, a full agenda, that's it, we'll talk.
Okay, would you let me know then, Mr. Daly, when you get a date for
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rob? Thank you.
Anything else? Hearing nothing, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you all.